I recently got the Anker SOLIX electric cooler, and I already had the nice YETI Tundra Haul, so I wanted to do a comparison and put them to the test. And to see if it was worth the hype and the extra cost, I also got a basic Igloo cooler as our baseline. Each one promises cold drinks, but they do it in different ways, and I wanted to see how they actually hold up in real world scenario. I loaded each cooler up with 54 cans. Full disclosure, some of them were refrigerated ahead of time and others were warm. I don't have room for 160 plus cans in my refrigerator, but I wanted to simulate a real world test where, some of the cans might be cold already, whereas others would be a little bit warmer, maybe fresh out of the box. But to be fair, I put an equal amount of cold cans and equal amount of room temperature cans in each cooler. That way it's as fair as can be. The Anker was set to 37 degrees and started with a full battery. The YETI and Igloo each got a 20-pound bag of ice placed on top of the cans once it was loaded. They sat indoors, side by side for the entire test. I checked in regularly, pulling a can from each and tracking the temperatures, ice levels, and in Anker's case, the battery life. So here's what each brand claims. Anker SOLIX says it'll be 3.2 days on a single charge. However, that claim is based off of 2 batteries, and it only includes 1 in the box. YETI says it's up to 10 days with ideal ice to can ratio, though 3 to 5 days is more typical. And Igloo says right on the side, up to 3 days of ice retention. So after 12 hours, the Anker was already down to 41% battery. The YETI's ice was still very frozen. Ice had already started to melt, but all the drinks were nice and cold. By the next day, the sodas from the YETI and the Igloo, both on ice, were around 34 degrees. The beverages from Anker were around 36 degrees, still totally drinkable across the board. At 36 hours, the Anker was already down to 8%. YETI still had visible ice on the top, and Igloo was mostly slush with a little bit of ice. At 48 hours, the Anker's battery was dead. Now we're just relying on that thermal properties of the cooler itself. The YETI still had solid amount of ice, and the Igloo's ice was all gone, but the water inside was still cold. I think we were approaching the tipping point. At 72 hours, both the Anker and Igloo drinks hit around 50 degrees, which is not ideal, but still tolerable. YETI was still holding strong at 40 degrees, which is a noticeable difference. After 3.5 days or 84 hours, both the Anker and the Igloo beverages were sitting around 60 degrees, so not much cooler than room temperature. Yet the YETI was still hanging on at 45 degrees. So is YETI the clear winner? Well, not so fast. The Anker SOLIX is electric. That means no ice, no waterlogged labels, and it can be powered by AC, DC, or even solar, making it great for road trips, RVs, or off-grid camping. You can even add a second battery or charge your phone from it. It's more than a cooler, it's a powered fridge on wheels. Whichever cooler you go with, always be sure to pre-chill your cooler and the contents if you can. That way it'll last longer. Use enough ice or charge based on how long you'll be out. Be sure to fill the space, as empty air warms up fast. If you're just going out to a ball game or out on the lake for a day, the Igloo may be all you need. If you're camping for multiple days and you're not going to be able to recharge, the YETI has the best insulation and the longest cold retention. But if you're hitting the road and you want dry contents and you have power options, the Anker is a really smart choice, especially if you're using it as a fridge or even a freezer. So in this head-to-head comparison of batteries versus ice, it turns out that all 3 coolers have their place. It just depends on what your adventure looks like.